Okay, today I'm going to go over a quick call and response inside Zapier and how you would set one of those up. This is a simple call and response that's triggered based off the email, and then we run it through some formatting, looking for some keywords, and then depending on what we find or don't find in the email of what we're asking the customer to send us, then it may send them the template, which is what we ideally want, or it will flag us and let us know, hey, these emails need attention. So originally we were getting all these emails back, and they were every single one of them was having to be manually completed and responded to. And when you're trying to scale and you have hundreds to thousands of emails going out, that becomes very time consuming. So what is one way we can cut back on this is using a call and response Zapier automation. So what happens here is it's triggered on a new email, but not just any new email. It's triggered on any labeled email with this specific label. Because if you don't put this, then it's going to trigger on every single email that comes in, thus increasing your task usage. Okay. Next, in step two, we're just looking for some keywords because we have a certain call and response campaign going out. We're looking for certain keywords from that subject line to ensure that it continues through the Zap. So if it doesn't qualify with any of these keywords right here, then it will end the Zap. So as it continues through, we have to run one more filter and see, did we find the keyword up here at the top? And if the keyword is found up here, it's going to return, the output is going to be true, and that's what we want is true, so we continue forward. Next, we're going to take the body. We're going to remove the white space, kind of clean it up a little bit to make it easier and more efficient to push it through the code. Technically, you can do this trim in code as well, but sometimes for clients, it's easier to pull out some of these steps individually that aren't familiar with code. So in this section, we're just running a short code snippet, basically just cleaning up some things. We're cleaning up the URL. We're cleaning out, taking out any URLs, any numbers, taking out any emails, because we don't want any of that in there because we're not looking for that. Our response from the customer is we're looking for a one-word response from the customer, so we know there's no numbers in it. We're not looking for an email or any URLs. And then we're creating two different items that we'll be able to access later in the Zap. We're creating one item that's called text 100, which is the first 100 characters, and then we're creating the second one called text 200, which is the first 200 characters. Then we're going to do a little bit further additional trimming of what we found up here above in step 5. So sometimes in those first 100 or 200 characters, you'll have the person's email, like who it's from. It'll say from John Smith, and then it'll have like the date and all that. Well, we don't want any of that stuff, so we're cleaning that out. And then next, and where this is kind of the key point of the call and responses, is we're looking for the trigger word from the customer. So basically, in this email, we're asking them to respond with the word recipe, and so we put the word recipe in here. We're looking for these, and it's checking against the output here. And this output, remember, is the body. And then you wonder why we might have several different variations of recipe down here. Well, we're all human. People respond with misspelling sometimes, so we kind of want to capture that. You can add to this and improve the efficiency of this over time, but this is where we're at with this one. Okay, and then finally what we do is we're going to count the number of characters in the first 100 or 200 characters. So what we're doing here is I'm just taking the output of 6 right here. So let me back up. Sorry. So we're this one, step 7 is used down here in the paths to validate that the keyword is there. And then this step 8 is going back to step 6, and we're counting the number of characters. So in the first 100 characters, after it's cleaned and everything, there may only be 50 characters. So the reason we're counting that, we set the limit at 100, is we decided that at either 100 or 200, but we're using 100 right now, is anything over 100, we want to see that. We want to see their response. Like, what did the customer put in their response that's more than 100 characters, especially after we cleaned it all with all the information we don't need. Because that might tell us that they're asking for additional information. It might be an opportunity for an upsell. It could be many different things. So basically, we want to leave that in the inbox as unread. So we'll continue to mark that as unread. So that's why we do the character count. So when you come down here in the path, so the first one is the one that we want most of them fall in is that there's the keyword recipes in the first 100 characters, and it's less than 100 characters. So it passes both of these tests. We send a template email, and we remove the label, and we mark it as read. So then it's out. We don't have to worry about it anymore. And then you got additional ones. So this is the keyword is not in the first 100 characters. So this is just going to keep the label on it as unread so that it brings our attention to it. Now, remember this step right here, this final step, it could be any other application as well. We could do a Monday automation to create a task to follow up on this email. It could be a Slack notification. It could be several different types of notifications. This one happens just to stay in the Gmail app. And then finally, we have the recipe or the keyword is in the first 100 characters, and it's more than 100 characters long. So again, this is where this client decided that they did not want the template to go right back out to them and mark it as unread. They just wanted to keep it as unread so they can address anything that the client might have as potential upsell or anything like that. So that's the end of this. So we got a path here. All in all, when this is successful, it runs approximately 10 tasks. Each time. So it is a heavier load, but it is pretty simple to set up and get going. So if you have any questions, please let me know.